once you get into an eighth life, that's when the games begin.
Yeah, and that makes sense because it's like whatever's within their environment is what they're actually vulnerable to.
Yes.
You know, if 8 is trying to cut off sensation, then anything that can allow sensation is like there's going to be some fucking drama about it.
So I have 2 mythological wars that I'm sure I will be triumphant in. It's me versus SPSO and me versus all 6s across all time and the globe.
The big hormone enneagram.
I'm John Lekovich, 415, sexual self-pres, 458 Trifix.
I'm David Gray, self-pres sexual, 9 with 1 wing, 974 Trifix.
What up? It's Emeka. I'm an 8-wing-7, sexual self-pres with 854 fixes.
Hi, I'm Alexandra. I'm a social self-preservation 9-wing-1, 963 Trifix.
Like and subscribe on Apple and Spotify, and leave us a review. If you want to support the show with a donation, you can find us on Venmo at Big Hormone and paypal.me/Big Hormone.
This Big Hormone Enneagram. Please buy the Instinctual Drives in the Enneagram. Please rate and review it. There is the Journey to Egypt trip. Go to egyptretreats.com. It's March 3rd to the 14th. There is a early special if you sign up before like October 15th. It's like a $300 discount. So it's going to be an amazing trip. There's details on the site. And hope to see you there. Somebody else.
All right. DAA. You want to become dangerously perceptive and skilled at seeing types clearly. We are recently doing a class on reactive types. There's been some questions and confusion between the reactivity or sort of like frustration types getting upset versus what, reactive types are up to. So we did an interesting class on looking at that difference from a typing perspective. And if you want to get typed by us, you can get all this information at enneagrammer.com. Is there anything else, David, Alexandra?
Yeah, I have just finished up the Bachelorette series on Saturn Rule 9 on YouTube. And yeah, go check that out. Finally, it's a little late. Both some 9 sloth kicked in, and then I had some copywriting issues with YouTube that I had to kind of work through. But yeah, we're finished with the Bachelorette series. I'm moving on to Love is Blind that just started. So stay tuned to that as well.
All right. So we're doing the gut center today. Anger, our favorite topic. Or do you want to do something else?
I'm good to keep going with the gut types.
Isn't it time for part 2 of the amazing David Gray?
You know what? I
David,
think so.
Is there more David material to mine?
I'm always down for that, David. You seem to be fine with revealing things that you should keep to yourself to the general public. I have no problem with that.
We should just do like a round robin interview. I'm kidding. I don't actually want to do that.
Yeah. Let's
like we give people more
interviewed.
parasocial material to work with.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Precisely. Mm-hmm. Give people what they want. Other options are to go back to the Wing series, which is around 4s. How are you guys feeling on that? Want to talk shit
That's
about
a you
yourselves?
thing, Alexander. That's a
Why
you
is it a
thing.
me thing?
Because it's you that started it. Why
the
don't
Wings?
you? That was a you thing. That was an Alexander production. Way to disown your own agency.
Whatever. Yeah, I don't know.
You could insist that we do the Wings. You see,
you could. We're waiting to follow your lead.
Listen, I'm both a 9 and a woman. I'm supposed to be led here. Okay?
Right.
Ooh, you
lead
just
me when I'm in the mood to be led.
Alienated
and now,
part of our audience right there.
And then whenever you try to push her, she's like, no, I do what I want.
Yeah,
I do what I want.
There's a quote from a show that's like, lead me in the mood, or lead me when I'm in the mood to be led.
That's a trap.
That feels like my MO.
That's what that is.
We're supposed to read your mind.
Right.
Oh. Gotcha.
No, it's a binary choice over here. You either want to be led or you want to be left alone.
There's
That is
something
just fundamentally untrue.
I'm making it true.
My experience says otherwise. See, now I don't want to be led.
Well, we got a binary, didn't we? We forced a choice.
Fine, check.
something I've been paying attention to, and I hope this doesn't come across the wrong way, Alexandra, but like we kind of joke about it, but when we
Let
walk,
it come across the wrong way, please. Make it come across the wrong way.
tread
when we
carefully.
walk the way, like your energy is so either responsive to the directions I'm taking or waiting for me to initiate the ways we move.
Mhm.
It's really like actually interesting. Like, you know that meme that you sent where it was like the guy is like very vigilant, where the girl is like singing a song in her head.
Yeah, for if this gets into the episode or whatever, the meme he's referring to is that one where like the girlfriend turns her brain off because her boyfriend's around. That's me.
And so like
When John and I are walking, I don't have to be there.
Yeah.
but
I'll
you know
just follow his energy.
there'll be times when we are like headed toward like leaving the subway and there's different turnstiles or whatever, and I will kind of be like, oh, like all right, like I'm gonna kind of see where Alexander's wanting to go, and I'm gonna go here. When I start to pay attention to where I'm like looking to see where you're wanting to go, you'll kind of like snap out of it and be like, where are we going? You know, there's like a little bit of that thing of like, continue the motion, John, or you know, I mean, even when we like, I've actually, I hope this doesn't bother you, but like I've practiced like just like slightly coming closer to you and slightly moving away just to see the way just the experiment. And she is really just like,
Oh yeah, no. So this exactly tracks. I don't want to pigeonhole all Bermudas, but actually I do. But anyway, remember the girl I was dating a few years back, SPSX 936. Yeah. I mean, it was as if there was, you know, a I don't know, a 1.5 foot leash connecting at our hips, and it was like a dog or something. It was what are you doing, kind of thing. Yeah.
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 Yeah, it's interesting because I hear like a careful, like a caution in both of your voices, and I'm like, I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
I have like, it's working.
Yeah.
Well, it's easy
I have
mode.
no shame about that. Yeah, like
Yeah.
John knows where we're going, so I'll just follow him.
It's
I don't
it's
need to
path
be.
of
I don't need to participate in that.
it's none of your business. It's the path of least resistance. I'm just gonna,
Yep.
you know, they've got it.
I'm just
Yeah.
in their wake, in the wind of their.
Yeah.
really
If
funny.
something,
Like
if
with
something
Alexandra,
hap-
how willing and like comfortable you are with just like ceding agency and like without shame, you know, like, or I like have a thing where I like do need to be exercising my agency in all directions all the time.
at all times, yeah. And for me, it's like we're just walking to a club. Like I don't need to exercise agency on the walk to somewhere. You know, I'm just like, who cares? It's nothing important is happening. You know, if there's like a dangerous situation where we need to be alert, I'll turn on. But you know, walking to the grocery store doesn't need my alertness.
David, as a male 9, how does that play out?
Well,
Sort of
so
like-
what? Yeah, what I don't know if this is what you're asking, but like my thing with walking and driving is frustration. So I'm sort of on and looking expectant of the thing I'm going to get irritated about, and it's very much it's very 9 with triple frustration going on. I'm expecting somebody's going to fuck up my flow, and I'm already angry about it. And yeah,
like how you're angry at the sun.
yes, which made a lot of sense.
That's a hilarious story that we need to tell as an example of 9 anger. How do we set that up? Like what was happening? This was Sunday or Monday morning.
I think I did
At
it 2
the-
nights in a
Monday
row,
morning.
actually.
Yeah, it was Monday morning, so we had I missed the other part, but the Monday morning we all-nighter, and the sun was coming up. We'd stayed up till like 7 in the morning or whatever. And I've missed the initial anger part, but like apparently
Whoa.
David was just cursing out the sun.
Well, you're missing some important context, which is there was an invader in the space
Oh yeah,
who was
I blocked that
very,
part out.
very
Oh, right.
chatty.
Mhm.
And gradually, David, who is mostly on the floor under a blankie, doing his 9 thing, would sort of rise up a little bit and have his hand. Like I remember distinctly how kind of rigid your arms were. Like actually rigid how your whole body was. I was sort of struck by that thing because I don't experience you as rigid generally. And so you kind of have this like almost reminded me of like Frankenstein rising from a bed because you were like someone needs to stop talking.
I missed this.
And and it was funny too because it was like David Gray's voice, but it was like coming from a very deep place in the earth.
Yeah.
And
And let me jump in real quick though. Following that, somebody needs to stop talking. Like I think it was shortly, in that same diatribe, I said something like, because I was so frustrated, and I wasn't even tracking that in a real conscious way. I think there was just this buildup of the chatter that just suddenly came out, and I said to that person who was the responsible for the chatting, I said, I wish that no conversations would happen ever again in human history. And I was saying it to her.
And she what I remember being a 6 like couldn't disengage, had to
Yeah.
keep
She had to talk about that.
she had to talk about that. And yeah, I just remember how you had your arms were like this, like just and there were a couple of things like that. Yeah, no one should ever talk ever again in human history. And I remember being very excited by this.
Yeah.
Being very like, let's go.
Yeah, no, I
And,
know that. And by the way, just a side note there, I know that it actually, the rare times I do that, it is like an energizing force kind of thing. It's like, ooh, yeah, we want more of that.
Yeah, no, I was just ready for some drama and a good, just
Yeah.
ready for something crazy. Because it did feel like, whoa, I've never seen David just like so potently
Like,
irritated.
Oh, we
and
have
then
to
what about the sun irritation?
I think maybe that was a continuation. Is that?
Oh, it
what
was
that
totally continuation because it was like David was still angry about that. That was like, and then the sun very soon after started to peek through, and it was like we were all on that couch and like way out in the corner of the not the bathroom, the kitchen. The sun started peeking out, and somebody was like, I think David started goes, "Is that the fucking sun?" And because
I
it
did.
started to
That
get a
was
little bit blue, and
a little bit blue. That's intolerable.
yeah. And I can't remember other things you said, but you started getting more and more irritated about the sun. But it was a little like, it wasn't like you were saying, I wish the sun would come up or this night would go on forever or something like that. It was just like, the sun is in my fucking eyes.
Yeah, no, I was mythologically taking on the sun.
It was definitely mythological, and I could feel magma underneath all of us. And I was like, God damn, this is real
David's really
anger.
mad at the sun.
And it wasn't like, oh, we should just close the blinds or something.
No.
It was just like, what the fuck, man?
No, it was Ragnarok already. Like, we couldn't have closed anything. Like, David was already confronting the sun and trying to kill the sun god.
And then I started to, want to continue the comedy routine of that. There was some comedy there. So I was getting angry at the Airbnb owner that he hadn't put up a blind in that particular window
Right,
where
that's
the
right.
sun was primarily coming in. I'm so mad at Bob right now.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
I remember somebody offering you a different seat, and you're like, "No, I just want to be mad at the sun."
Yeah.
It's
that's
like,
it.
"Oh, here's David's triple frustration."
I'm committed
don't
to the
solve the
frustration.
problem;
No.
just be mad about it.
Yeah, nines are the peacemakers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, we've been watching this reality show, and it's got a Puerto Rican woman in it, and she's probably a 7, but there's a lot that's like been funny because she's very like dramatic and emotional, stuff like this. And so, like Alexandra being Puerto Rican, just being like, like her emotions are like the Caribbean Ocean, where it's like, clear and transparent, and you can see to the bottom, and just beautiful, and exotic fish, and all this like just beautiful green blue, and then hurricane season comes and just
Stirs it all up.
Yeah, I've been joking about the combination that is being a 9 that actually has like the drama of the earth in it, and also being Puerto Rican.
That's
Not a good combination, actually.
It's
What a
almost like you have
relaxing
to.
gift have been in John's life. Yeah.
It's almost like I think we mentioned this in the pod you and I did, John, on how like people from different cultures, how radically different they could be.
Yeah.
Like for example, the 9s and like
That's right,
European 9s or
Right.
like
Yeah.
Latino, 9s, like culturally people that grow up really expressing frustration or anger versus like, your typical white Anglo-Saxon 9s who
Right. Cooperative 9. Yeah.
Yeah, who really just die in front of your face.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's soaking up what's rocking the milieu versus not. And so like like white people, very little emotional expression, very little
Right.
energetic.
Like
whatever.
Canada is that white person
Yeah.
9 thing.
Mhm.
Yeah, the whole Midwest.
You guys remember
Those
the bread
nice
people
white
thing,
people.
right?
Yeah, totally.
Yes, of course.
Bread City. What is it? What was that bar?
The bread people. Well, at the bar that we went to, which we on the weekday, it's fine,
Right.
but it was cool. But on the weekends, all the fucking bread people showed up
Right.
in their
So
polo
explain
shirts.
the term bread people.
I think John, you coined it, right?
Your racist term.
Yeah.
I didn't come up
racist.
with it, so it's John. So it's
okay.
fine.
I'm extremely racist.
Yeah, John's a self-hating. John's got self-hatred.
Self-hating white. Latina power. I'm all about. No, so yeah, we were at that bar, and I remember we went out to the backyard on the weekend, I think, and we went to that bar twice. And the first time it was cool. And
Right.
the second time, like we had fun inside, we were all dancing and stuff. But then I went to the backyard, and it was just a sea of people that look sort of like they could belong to that family that murdered the dad murdered the son and wife, like the Murdaws. It sort of looked like
right.
sort of looked like that. Like they all looked like a bread roll shop had just like the oven like just started pouring out of the oven or something like this.
Well,
And so everybody's kind of like soft and bland and like
Jim Gaffigan.
nice. Jim Gaffigan.
Mhm.
well,
Who's
it's
that
like
guy?
people that would exist in a Gap commercial.
Yeah,
like-
yeah.
The most palatable,
Oh, yeah, Jim
Sure.
Gaffigan,
like
yeah.
professional, casual kind of
Jesus.
hair.
Yeah.
Like they look like they could have just came from a after work luncheon or something like that. It just
Right.
felt like you're just coloring within the lines that there's nothing. It's like an NPC generated crowd of people,
Right.
like
I
an
made a-
AI generated crowd of people.
I mean, these are also, of course, the SPSO 6s and 9s.
This is the slave race that you're
that
This
the
is David's
aliens
slave race.
created. Yeah.
I used AI to make a couple of bread people images. Let me find them and see if I can send them to the chat.
I put one of them at the end of the credit roll photos at the last.
Oh, that's
pod.
right.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah, so I have 2 mythological wars that I'm sure I will be triumphant in. It's me versus SPSO and me versus all 6s across all time and the globe. Just one of my minor hobbies on the side.
I love that it's mythological. Like you're so 9 and so hot that it can't even be like out in
Oh, yeah.
reality.
It's
No.
just mythological.
In
I know
my
it's never been
imagination.
No, it's
Yeah, and David has
volatile.
to
Yeah, go ahead.
David has to do this to our listeners, which are probably, like just the majority of just like letting them, sort of in an indirect way know, like, I hate all of you.
Yes, yes. Uh-huh.
That's why they're here. People love listening to get vicariously hated by Joseph, by all of us.
Yeah.
Had some good fucking bread people.
Oh wow, that's nice.
That's good. Oh man,
Bread people.
and I mean, this is
God.
here's my SP, right? Like, this is like the problem with America is literally white bread. I mean,
Right.
like literally people
Right.
Oh,
eating
wow, yeah.
white bread. It's like, this is the fat American, slow-minded. That turns you into a fucking, cattle.
Well,
Yeah.
I was wondering if maybe, I know we're going down this rabbit hole, but we could maybe go back to anger in the body center, given
Yeah.
David's,
Rage problems.
Rage towards the sun.
yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm curious to see or hear examples of your rage, Alexandra.
I don't
You're nine.
experience rage.
Yeah, stop lying.
You have no anger at all, right?
No.
Yeah.
I have no anger at all.
How do
Okay.
you express
Okay.
rage?
How do I express rage?
There have been a couple of ragey nights.
Just two.
Just two.
Just two.
There are two
Yeah.
that stand out. I'm trying to remember others, but there's two that stand out.
What were they about?
I don't know. First of all, I don't remember them.
That's a
Did you
great
go
way
to
to
a fugue
deflect.
state?
How convenient.
Yeah. Well, there is like a way that like when I get tapped into that kind of state, and like we're talking about rage, right? As difference from, well, maybe I guess let's not differentiate it with from anger too much or from like just allowing myself to go there. For me, there's like a few things that tip me over into that state. One is like, how do I say this? One is like just feeling pressure. Sometimes it's just like
Oh.
a certain mounting pressure that I can't find my own clarity, but the pressure just keeps mounting and mounting and mounting until it's just like you got to stop, fucking get off me. And then it becomes then there's like a big anger response to that, and then there are other times where it's kind of hard to articulate, but there are other times where it just feels like okay, I have been nice enough. I'm like, I have been trying to like adapt, attach. I've been trying to be patient, trying to be nice. I've been trying
Gave
to
up my
consider
will
things.
10,000 times now.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, okay, it's time for me to cash in. And then
Yeah.
suddenly, and sometimes, and
And
sometimes
I deserve this because I adapted
yes.
so much, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's how I experience it too. It's just like suddenly it's like, okay, it's time to open this just like vault of times I was fucking nice. and then and then it's like then I feel like a full justification, but also it's like once the door opens, it's very difficult for me to close it.
Mhm.
And so it's just like, here's this. And if the right thing gets tapped, it's also like, I think one of the reasons nines can be so self-editing and so limiting is the word that comes up, but I don't think that's the right word. So self-editing, we'll say,
Negating.
is because, just like practice a certain kind of caution.
Mhm.
Is because when the right thing gets tapped, it's like it's not disconnected from everything else.
Right.
So when the right thing gets tapped, it just like goes through the network of, again, all the fucking times I have been patient and I let this go and da 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 da. So then it just reawakens my whole. It's like the light, I don't know. It's just like a fucking Christmas tree, just like lights up all at once, and then I'm aware of all of the little things, and suddenly I feel very, just very angry. Sometimes it's a feeling of being taken advantage of having my patience be overlooked, and all that kind of stuff.
I don't know
So
if I've said it before on the pod, just the thing of one of the things that nines are doing that essentially I think all the other types are not doing is nines, and this is part of keeping their own internal peace, but it's automatic, is they're not defining their experiences and therefore not putting things in categories. Like there's a lot of different kinds of anger and anger on multiple different kinds of subjects. But nines are not defining their experience, and so all the anger is in a giant airport hangar sized warehouse. So when they get mad, you get the whole airport hangar.
The whole thing. Yeah, totally. Yeah, I guess what I'm hearing with that too is like it's definitely just like an overflow, like just like a backlog of like little ways I felt my boundaries be crossed, or like little upsets or something like that I didn't identify. And so it's just a nebulous thing that gets like thrown into this like pile of jello. And then suddenly when the like one thing gets tapped, it's just like this big angry blob of anger that is still, you can't totally identify it, but then sometimes with my experience it just feels like suddenly I'm having this huge overreaction to this one little thing. When it's like, yes, the proportion is not appropriate at certain times, but it doesn't feel like I'm not just getting mad at that one thing. I'm getting mad at that thing and all of these other things that I just didn't give voice to at the time because I thought that letting it go was just like the better thing to do.
And this tiny little 5'2" body, like totally red faced, and like just like there's all this energy in that little body just coming out. Like It's very funny. I mean, not funny, but like it's
yes, it's. You don't find it funny.
There's some
reason
parts
to
where
not get anger is we will mock you.
There's some reason. There's some ways it's funny, but in other ways it's like, whoa, like
yeah. No, I remember the very first time I got mad at you. You told me after that you were like, that was awesome. That was cool.
Well,
you told me over the phone. You're like, wow, I didn't know that was there.
Well, if she was 6'2" instead of 5'2", it wouldn't be so funny.
It wouldn't be so funny at all. No, but now I can just lift her up and put her on a little shelf until she's cooled off.
You can just throw her out the window.
Just waving her legs.
I wonder what like giant nines are like.
Man.
Like when they get angry.
Murderers. Yeah.
Literally murderers.
I think there's a fair amount. I mean, that's the classic gentle giant archetype, right? It's usually a 9-wing 8, probably. So they're like they're also like part of the muscle of like protecting somebody,
right?
Muscle in the figurative sense. Yeah,
right.
It's interesting too, the experience of getting to that point too, because like my like baseline is to be very cautious. Right. Is to be very like measured in how I say things, in a certain tone I use, in like a certain kind of consideration of how this is going to impact, blah, 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 blah. And so when I get to that place of feeling angry, it's like something has given me full permission to turn off all of that consideration. And what that ends up doing is that puts me in a very, very clear, touch with what it is that I'm experiencing, how I'm thinking, the feelings that are coming up around it. And I just get super clear, super, super clear. And suddenly, just uninhibited in the expression of it.
That's an interesting, I'm going to say something nice about 6. That's an interesting, like high side, iteration to me of your 6 fix or line to 6 is it's suddenly seeing clearly and you're morally justified and you're like in a defender mode, like soldier that's got a clear set of marching orders. I mean, though that's coming from yourself or something.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, the timelessness of rage is something that I think might be common to all the gut types. It's like an undercurrent of anger that if and when you do explode, that is the force that is behind all of it.
It's like you're tapping the elemental rage of the universe and the Big Bang and the sun and all the fiery explosiveness or something?
Yeah, it feels like when somebody crosses a certain boundary, I'm not just angry about this one instance. What they're getting to feel is the totality of all the anger that I've felt about anyone crossing my boundary.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why it feels like when you're in it, it's almost its own sort of entity. It's like a separate level of thing that's being channeled through you. It's like the whole life, the totality of all the anger you've ever felt about this kind of thing is getting unleashed.
Well, I go further and I say it's like just the anger of, I don't know, all existence or something, like just the substrate rage that is the life force or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I guess the 8 version is that it feels like this is the fuel that that drives everything.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes people are like, where did that come from? It's like, it was there the whole time. It's just, you're like sitting at a volcano. It hasn't gone off, but it still has lava and it's still,
Mm-hmm.
but then one day it explodes and it wipes everything out. The 8 version feels more like kind of like a constant churn of, you're sort of like using anger as a fuel
Mm-hmm.
all the time. Or at least you're aware of like anger as a fuel. It's interesting because it's not like the world is acting against sort of my boundaries. It's very preemptive. I look at situations very preemptively, and in terms of, all right, I'm going to walk into this situation. These are pockets that I can create for myself, where I can have a sense of mobility. And so let's say if I'm going into a job, it's like I have a certain role to play in this job. And so there's certain parameters that I can move, and I accept that preemptively. And so a lot of what can be really infuriating for 8 is I've created a space for myself that's my own based on the boundaries of whatever dynamic that I have decided to put myself into. And so as long as people involved respect the agreement around that boundary, then I don't feel like anyone is stepping into my space without my permission, of course. And so when someone does, it feels like you want to get rid of that person. It's hard to even get upset about with people until you've come to an agreement that they're part of your world. They're part of whatever it is you're doing. Outside of that, it's like there's no reason. They're not even part of the thing that could affect how you feel about things. And so part of what can be infuriating is if you have a role within a certain dynamic with an 8 and you don't live up to that role, or you step out of the parameters that were decided on beforehand, or you violate that agreement in some kind of way, or you get in the way of what is trying to be accomplished, then it's like that person becomes an obstacle, and it's like, because they're part of your world, it's like I have to now deal with you. Whereas if it's like you're not an important person, then you could just cut them out. You could just get rid of them. So anger is a good sign for 8s because they're, at least you're important enough to be angry about. You're not just something that can be discarded and moved on from. Like family, like I have to still deal with my family, so I get angry with my family, or I have to deal with my people that are close to me, I get angry with them. But anyone outside of that, I like, what am I getting angry about?
Well, and I mean, it brings up for me, like, part of the 8 bonding style is like playing with cruelty, playing with killing, and cutting off people's heads. Or I had a 8 friend in Belgium, and she loved it that I said stuff to her like, I'm going to send you a vial of poison or something, that kind of shit. And that was like a bonding thing.
Yeah.
And that to me is getting at, in the joking, you're kind of raising a person into the aliveness of that anger of there being an immediate big threat or something. Yeah.
To to what Emeka, what you were saying about like somebody being in or not, and inspiring anger or not being a thing. Like that's something I've noticed in the difference between 8 fixers and 1 fixers is like 1 fixers having this kind of constant sense of irritation and constant like there's not a sense of something being in or out. It's like something is always kind of coming in, and there's always this like building kind of reaction to something that doesn't seem to be actually affecting them.
Yeah, I mean, there's a much bigger cutoff because it's like my world is just, it's so self-contained that the things that could piss me off are either people that are involved in the things I'm doing or people that are in the way of whatever it is that I'm trying to do. And so if you're not someone that I can just disengage from or cut off from and I have to work with, then yeah, I'm going to be mad or get even mad about someone who's an obstacle to what I'm doing. If they're not in my world, it's just, well, we're just going to go around them or go over them. And so I think for a lot of 8s, like 8s can fall under the radar sometimes because it's just, they seem chill because they're trying to be as unbothered as possible.
Right.
They're trying to, in a lot of cases, avoid other people or avoiding being involved with too many, unless they're, if they're social 8, they're expanding the world or whatever. But it feels like I'm just going to carve out my corner over here. And so that rage comes from, hey, I've already created my own space for myself. I've done my own thing. You had to come out of your own way to come fuck with me. And now I'm going to try to kill you. It feels like I've carved out my own territory or my own sandbox separate from all of you. And if you're not invited and you're now trying to basically come into my world, it's like you're asking for it. And I don't think 8s get caught up in too much drama unless drama is their thing. That's part of what they're trying to do. There's not a whole lot of trying to get too mixed up in other people's shit.
Mm-hmm. I wonder how much of that is influenced by you having 4 and 5 fixes.
Oh, that's a big part of it. Yeah, that's a big part of it.
Yeah, because I experienced, like, at least just with, like, we know of a lot of cult leaders and dictators and stuff that are 8s. And it seems like the rage of 8 in those senses, where they're not, like, double withdrawn, the rage comes from, like, I don't want to say it's not an inability, but it's like, okay, the drive to control the environment is what like protects the rage from coming out. You know what I mean? And something infiltrating that environment that they've like decided is their domain, and they're curating specifically to, because if we go back to Josh's developmental theory of the centers, 8 is rejecting sensation. They're cutting things off. They're putting something within the boundary that's the only thing they're going to allow themselves to sense, to feel, to be affected by. Anything outside of that is where the violation comes in. In my vision, in my observation, that's where the rage comes from. Yeah. It's something that's not allowed in getting in.
Right.
Well,
I think in what you're saying, it is kind of the same thing, but it's you're talking about carving out your own space. I think that comes from like a double withdrawn influence.
Well, what I'm saying is that even a social 8 who's leading a cult, you're controlling the boundaries of what gets into that cult.
Just that cult.
Just that
True,
cult. Like,
yeah.
so even the 8s that control a whole country, like, for example, it might seem like I'm carving out a corner. Like, I see every single person that comes into this group. I go and check out their profiles. I go and see what they do in other groups. There's a ridiculous amount of control in terms of what can this person do in this group. It's control up front because I don't want to let someone in that could potentially cause a bunch of these problems. So it's like, that's a very, like, if an 8 was running a cult, like a cult of 1,000 people, that would be part of their control. So it's like looking over every single person who comes in. So the anger would then come from, I've allowed you into my world, and now you are now acting accordingly, because the 8 would not be angry. It's like, you don't even exist if I didn't bring you in. Well, so if I brought you in and now you're acting up because you're not acting according to what I expected.
Well, and part of the anger, isn't it also, you said it before, that why did I let this person in?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So in terms of this group, like no one's here that I didn't say yes to. Like no one came in through the doors who wasn't allowed in. So I already did the pre-check, and somehow, you turned out to be this fucking mess. That's part of where the rage is coming from. You're not here.
How did David get in here then?
Still trying to figure that out.
Came in behind loopholes.
Loopholes. That's it.
Yeah, I'm also thinking of that guy. Who's that cult leader that we did? The Stolen Youth guy.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
That what's his name?
Larry.
Gary, something
Larry
like
Like
that.
an
Larry Ray or
862.
something.
Yeah, that guy who was like all good and cool and holding and da 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 until he suspected someone within his boundaries was like acting
That's
up.
That's
And that's when he'd like,
it.
I'm gonna fucking rip your tongue out,
Yeah,
kind of
right.
deal, you psychopath.
That's exactly what it is. It's like 8s are very controlling of the boundaries of who comes in. It's like once you get into an 8th life, that's when the games begin.
Yeah, and that makes sense because it's like whatever's within their environment is what they're actually vulnerable to.
Yes.
If 8 is trying to cut off sensation, then anything that can allow sensation is like
Right.
there's going to be
Yeah.
some fucking drama about it. Anything
Mhm.
outside of that is like you're outside of my borders. Who cares?
Yeah.
I don't care. I don't notice you.
I think I told this story before, or this anecdote. Like when Emeka and I were first doing our thing, typing people and all that shit. If there was any doubt that he was an 8, he would say, like when I typed somebody, or talking about multiple people that were typed, those are kills. So yeah,
Oh, right.
you get so many
Right.
kills. Blah, blah, blah.
I mean, that's one thing
Drama.
that's one thing about the I don't know if we talk about it much, but about the 8 personality that I feel like I've forgotten. But part of the needing fuel for anger is that you end up unconsciously trying to create these high stakes dynamics,
Mhm.
like situations where it's on the line and there's an edge of a big loss or a big win, like where that feeling of let's fucking go, like
Edge
this
of
is
chaos.
yeah, like, and so I think one thing that's always been interesting to me about typing is that it is a difficult thing and it's never the same every time, and it's a high stakes sort of thing because typing people, it's a very pivotal point, and so there's kind of like it's time to roll the dice, let's fucking go, like. And I like situations like that, finding situations where you can use this sort of backlog of fuel to try to like overcome overcome some big obstacle. Like even like some social aids do it in the social space where they just create a lot of drama so they can, like, you get this activating sense of I can use this fuel to do something big. That's something that I have had to remind myself is a thing, and sometimes I feel like there's not much happening because I'm not really getting to use heat to some degree.
It's reminding me of one of the other many ways that I've corrupted the Enneagram and tried to confuse people, which is this thing called inversions, which is, I think other people have mentioned it before, but it's like 4 and 8 are inversions of each other, and 5 and 1 are inversions, and then 2, 7. And so part of what that means with the 4-8 is like 4 is interior war, chaos, and 8 is exterior. It's that kind of thing. And 4 is externally apparently more sensitive, and 8 is it's all internal, right? So it's like a perfect reciprocity.
This group used to be a war zone, and it was far more interesting to me when it was fucking, the comment section every single week was goddamn fucking pandemonium. And like, it's almost like we had to get professional because we becoming larger figures and parasocial authority and all that stuff. There was one point where Joseph had liked somebody's comment that had disagreed with someone, and this person had a meltdown, and it's just like, yo, we cannot just be ourselves in the group anymore, because before you just dunk on idiots in the group, can't do that anymore. So there was just a lot of big fights, and that was fun. That was a good time.
Well, and I don't even know if I got to my main point with that, which was that they're both doing drama, right?
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
like you see it. I mean, in the
I'm not sure what you mean.
yeah, you don't know what we're talking about, John.
Confused by this.
So, and you see it, I mean, of course, the cartoon is the 8 dictator. Like, there's been so many 8 dictators that do this high operatic drama where, like Saddam Hussein thought he was the reincarnation of Nebuchadnezzar, king, just shit like that,
Yeah, the Third Reich.
Yeah, exactly.
Shut
The
fuck
Third
up.
Reich is
Eights are
like
peak
1,000-year range. I mean, just
Yeah.
nuts. Yeah.
He's the reincarnation of Wotan.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
he has this
Yeah.
whole self mythology.
But in terms of anger, I don't feel like I get actually anger very often, and but I think the 7-wing sort of iteration of 8 for me is that it feels like I'm dynamic. It feels like I have a lot of room to move. But as soon as after I sort of settled into my own zone and someone tries to limit my movement, or it feels like my movement is about to be limited, that's when it feels like, I have to like get off me, that feeling of just get the fuck off me feeling. And so that explosion, that's where it's coming from. I've already figured out my own space away from everybody, or I thought I had my own space and you're trying to come into it, or like limit my movement or my ability to do whatever the fuck I want to do.
Mm-hmm. So we should touch on one before we wrap this up.
Yeah.
One rage.
I have a hard time, like, I don't know, imagining it, thinking about it, even recognizing it in a certain ways, because they always just seem so.
Well, isn't that it? It's like rage that's meant to make things into some kind of order or something like that.
My my former best friend, my ex, my mom, and there was one other one fixer in mind. Oh, but even Joseph, I will just sense them at a irritable vibration, that there's something that is like something is a problem, even if it feels like it's 20 yards away. It's still kind of like that's what you got your energy on. It's like sort of like, when we were talking, Joseph and I did our individual call, you talk about like somebody walking into a club wearing something and it like creating an impact on him. My friend was a bartender, and he would routinely kick people out of the bar, like go behind, like, and he was smaller than me, like he's skinny and like just actually like a couple inches shorter, and he would go all the way around and like put his hand, like grab somebody's arm and pull them out of the bar, because they were rude, because they were whatever, and it like really got to him, or like yeah, just like these infractions, like my ex with money, something would somehow be a trigger point, and it would just be this like rattle, like a building rattle of, so it's kind of not quite the like 8 like just push you out, and it's not quite the 9 like slow build and then blow up. It's got this kind of shaking, rattling escalation, but it's very specifically targeted.
When I was dating the sexual one, she had one blow up with me.
What did you do wrong?
Well, there were several things that she was frustrated with. She was frustrated with the aesthetic of my collages, but that's
an important thing.
Yeah, I mean, she just was like, "You got to stop showing me these things. I might have to stop fucking you." The other thing she was frustrated with, I think the straw that broke the camel's back, was she found out my spank bank. She saw photos on my phone, and so she saw that the women on there didn't look like her.
Alexandra, you're muted.
I'm just reacting.
I just wanted all your witty commentary too.
So she saw these women that didn't look like her, and she kind of went off on me after that.
And that's partly she's a sexual type too.
Yeah,
right?
she's a sexual type.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
And So she just started shitting on everything, every idea I had, like, just like it's never gonna work out. Like, she was just like denigrating everything that I was saying, and I was like, oh, she's pissed. She's not talking about that, but she's just pissed in general, and everything that I'm doing is wrong. Everything.
One contrast, like 8 versus 1, is that 1 is, let's say, abstract here. Like 1 is forming up into a human authority, right? Whereas like 8 is a solo animal in the jungle, right? Like, don't fuck with me and I won't fuck with you kind of thing. But 1 has this thing about, like everyone, I think, thinks that you could come to them on anything in the world, any issue thing, and even if they'd never looked at it before, they would be sure that they knew the best thing, the best way to handle it.
So true.
Right?
God.
And there's a, there's an anger in there about that is an ordering anger, right? I mean, that's like rage as an expulsive energy that is claiming to know everything.
You're giving me flashbacks to my mom, who's a 1 fix 2, wing 3. And one of the things that was just like, especially as we got older, like fascinating to the siblings was like my mom having, what you just described of like, this is the way this thing needs to be handled or approached. Was saying was completely outside of her sense of anything, her sense experience. I'm still unpacking. I'm like, I've been in therapy for all my jealousy stuff and like unpacking the things that my mom directed at me and my brother about men in general and about like sexuality, things she'd never had any experience with, nothing like this, but just the intensity and the thing, and you're like a child getting this like download of this stuff that it was like she really had no idea about anything.
Yeah.
But I think out of fear, she also has a 6 fix. Fear was like, this is what's going on, and it was just like, whoa, big time for a little nervous system to take in.
No, I mean it is interesting. I mean the gut fix rage conversation in the context, of course, of Trifix, because like the 6s that I've worked with or been friends with or whatever, that have a 1 fix, they very much have that thing is, no, there's only one way to do this thing.
Yeah, that's my dad.
Want to clamp down on that.
Yeah, following the line of like 1 being a frustration type, there's a way that like, frustration also has like a certain ideal. And so it seems to me that the 1 rage gets tapped when there is some sort of like tangible proof that ideal is just not happening. Is either being worked against, has ever been worked against, has ever not existed. There's something like there's a rage against.
Well, that's frustration
against like
in
the
environment.
utopia. The utopic, vision for what the environment should be. Anything that acts out of alignment to that ideal. Or any sense, like I'm thinking of that Greta Thunberg. She's a 1, right?
Yeah.
And that like very famous clip that went around where she's like, "How dare you?" or whatever. And of course, like very righteous and all of that, but that's what it is. It's this like rage that people could possibly be behaving in a way that is not aligned with like her sense of what things should be.
So I know 1 really well because my mother was a 1, and that was essentially my only family member, and I'm what would you call it? An attachment boy, right? So I absorbed all this 1. I've got my 1 wing, and my mom would do stuff like be at a bank, and I'd be with her at a bank, and she didn't like the system of how they did things, and she would like get heated and be yelling in this quiet bank and I just wanted to die, just
Jeez.
not have any association with her at all.
God, yeah, she's social
Yeah.
blind too, right?
And
Isn't she?
yeah, no, I mean,
Excellent.
she's Jordan Peterson, but SPSX, if you can imagine that train
Oh
wreck.
my gosh.
That's why I'm so crazy too.
Yeah, I
lunatic
see
mom.
where it comes from. Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you just like a little 9 version of your mom then? Is she SPSX also? Is that what you said?
Yes. Oh yeah. So
Okay,
yeah, there's a lot of
so
overlap.
that's what we have.
It was significantly different that she was a 1 with a 2 wing.
Oh, right.
She was
That's right.
like Jordan Peterson, having 1 wing, 2, and 4. She was also embarrassingly like super emotive. Like she would also like dramatically start crying at whatever, some public event where there was this song and da 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 da, and and it had that, the 7 theatricality to it as well and all that. It was just like, and yeah, I mean, no, I was, it was a split thing because I was mostly embarrassed to be associated with her in public, at least, all the time.
All right, y'all.
Yeah, y'all.
Okay.
Later.
All right.
Later.
Okay.
All right.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.